Monster Hunter Wilds is so close to us now, I can practically taste it in my taste buds right here. So today we got a brand new video from IGN under their IGN First program, and it is titled Monster Hunter Wilds, the final preview. But I should also mention to you guys that next week there's going to be a special event, which I'm going to be streaming here on the channel, where Capcom is going to be talking about some of their new games, like we got Onimusha coming up in there. Maybe we get some updates in terms of Okami and all of that good stuff. But after that event, we're also going to be getting a Monster Hunter Direct, where they're going to be bringing us new information for Monster Hunter Wilds. They've already confirmed that it's going to be a brand new trailer. If you are still trying to go dark at this point, now is most definitely the time. They're likely going to reveal a couple of new things. Like I said, I'm going to be streaming it, going to be talking about it, going to be giving you guys my opinion, and shortly after that, we have the second wave of beta. Once again, do remember that this beta does not include the performance enhancements that are going to be present in the final version of the game. I will keep saying this every single time to make sure that people get the message. And I know that we're still going to get, a deluge of comments of people going to be like, wait, there's no performance improvements. Yep, we knew. I believe that probably at that special event, they'll end up revealing what the second monster is going to be that is going to be present on the beta. I don't know if that monster is coming in on the first iteration of the beta, which is going to be running from the 6th until some point. And then there's going to be a second iteration on Valentine's. I don't know if the second monster is going to be present in the first or in the second one. We'll see what happens with that. But for now, let's check out the IGN video here and see what they have to say on their final preview for Monster Hunter Wilds.
On day 3 of my visit to Capcom in Osaka, Japan, I once again sat in a dimly lit conference room. I was playing Monster Hunter Wilds, empty cans of coffee and tea strewn around my station. "You must be tired of being stuck in here playing," said a friendly employee. And
you must be tired of sitting here playing. Oh, yeah. Oh, man, I'm so tired of sitting here playing Monster Hunter Wilds. Totally not having the time of my life. Yeah, I'm sure.
all I could think was, I wish I could play more.
That's obviously a good sign.
This is after I played the first 5 hours of Monster Hunter Wilds story and hunted 4 monsters in the Well Basin in a different playstate.
Oh, damn.
I just couldn't get enough. There are so many nuances to master with the new weapon and gameplay features, and I'm the type of person who wants to figure out exactly how everything works through repetition and experimentation.
I'm not jealous at all.
I am a guides writer. It comes with the territory. But because of my limited time, I needed to focus on the main story. That's fine. After this hands-on, I know I'll enthusiastically spend hundreds more hours in the game.
Look at all the
once
Wudwuds.
it's out.
Bro, you can't tell me that Wudwuds are not, like, Ewok-inspired. Come on now. Streamlined, not weakened is the tagline for this particular portion of the video.
I beelined it through the story to make sure I could see everything I could, and in doing so, I crafted and upgraded only what I could as I went.
Alrighty.
That's the basic loop of Monster Hunter. Hunt monster, make better equipment, hunt stronger monster, and sometimes hunt something multiple times to get what you need. With my minimal preparation, I hunted the first 7 monsters: Chetacabra, Kamatrice, Congalala, Lalabarina, Balahara, Dashiguma, and finally a repel quest for the Leviathan, Uthduna, without much trouble and never once carded.
Did you guys hear that last part? Let's run that again.
Uthduna, without much trouble and never once carded.
People give me a lot of flack on every single video where I talk about the difficulty. But running all the way through what she just said, like, let's just get this right, okay?
Hunt something multiple times to get what you need. Kamatrice. My minimal preparation, I hunted the first 7 monsters.
Chetacabra. Okay, Chetacabra, I wouldn't expect you to card on Chetacabra. Kamatrice. Sure.
Congalala.
I don't know how hard Kamatrice is supposed to be. Congalala, obviously that's not going to cart you either.
Lalabarina.
Lalabarina. I kind of would have expected Lalabarina to be a little bit harder.
Congalala, Lalabarina,
I mean, I feel like volume's a little bit high. Let me just lower that.
Balahara, Dashaguma, and finally a repel quest for the Leviathan, Uthduna, without much trouble and never once carded.
I don't know. I'm an old school guy. I kind of wish that you would cart before you get the Uthduna, but
When I played Monster Hunter World for the very first time, even Tobi Gadachi gave me trouble, so I was surprised to encounter such little friction while playing Wilds. I was actually so surprised that I went back and replayed the story in Monster Hunter World through Anjanath, the 7th large monster. Well, the answer is, I've just gotten a whole lot better since I first played World, even though by that point I had been playing Monster Hunter since the very first one on PlayStation 2. I easily ripped through everything in World up to Anjanath, who then made me sweat a bit before I defeated it on my first try. It's funny because I felt the same as when I played Monster Hunter Rise. I thought to myself, this feels so much easier, and in some way—
But Monster Hunter Rise, like, Rise Village was objectively easier. Like, I don't think anybody can make that argument. Rise Village was objectively easier.
This could be because of the fun zippy wire bug mechanic and other factors, but that feeling was largely due to my increased skill as a player after 600 hours in World and Iceborne. That's not to say—
That's also a factor. It is important to point out that is also a factor. We've played tons and tons of hours of World at this point, and that does make us better hunters. But where do we go from there, you know? Because, like, at the end of the day, I still want to— I think one of the things that I always want to bring up that I don't think a lot of people understand. When I'm talking about I want difficulty to be higher, I want to be afraid of monsters. Because that's the feeling that I used to get back in the day. I'd be scared. I'm like, oh man, I'm going up against this thing. This thing's tough, right? And that's the thing that I want. I want to be scared. I want the possibility of failure to be there.
Some pro-level Monster Hunter, I'm certainly no speedrunner, but I've improved enough to notice. I'm bringing this up because I often see this lamentation in the community, questioning, perhaps is Monster Hunter simply getting easier? I would suggest—
She's been seeing my videos. She's seen my videos.
that we may just be growing into better hunters. Things are certainly becoming more streamlined and accessible, see optimal health and status recovery, and the focus mode that makes it easier to aim, but the developer—
I like optimal status and health recovery, by the way. I don't think that having, I can juggle more items in my menu is like, okay, sure. Who cares? Like, that one I see as a good thing, personally.
goals don't suggest they intend to make Monster Hunter easier. Monsters have been adjusted to account for the new focus and wound systems, and the art director and executive director of Wilds, Hanami Fujioka, said the difficulty in Wilds generally follows suit from World. Series producer Ryozo Sugimoto added, "We've been incredibly careful in Wilds to guide players to the fun of Monster Hunter without changing the core of the series, and I very much feel that." Wilds immediately directs players into the meat of what Monster Hunter really is: hunting large monsters that could be set-piece bosses in other games. The main missions smoothly integrate many small monster hunts and gathering as part of the story, which is a wonderful way to teach players about these necessary activities without them feeling like a roadblock.
If it's honey you're after, I know the perfect spot.
I admit I'm
They teach you how to gather honey.
conflicted about all of these upgrades. I find myself always wanting to pull a back in my day and describe some archaic, ludicrous thing we used to have to do just to get by to be able to enjoy the game. Like delivering explosive powder stones from the top of a volcano while avoiding Gravios and Ioprey, and then doing it 3 more times because the quest didn't count as cleared unless you were the one who posted it and your whole party of 4 needed to clear it to join the next quest.
Okay, yeah, having to repeat quests was annoying. It's not the end of the world, but yeah, it was annoying having to repeat urgent quests. I don't think that necessarily invalidates some of the things that we've talked about, like, you know, friggin' restocking and whatnot. I don't think that invalidates some of those concerns, personally.
I suppose I'm trying to say Monster Hunter has come a long way, and making it less convoluted and stripping away its non-essential bits and pieces has made it more palatable to a much larger crowd.
But what is a non-essential bit and piece, right? Because I'm sure that for a lot of players, having to sharpen your weapon, that's a major inconvenience. And if they could, they'd just like, yeah, let's get rid of that feature. Or having to eat to recover your stamina. Or, you know, a lot of other mechanics that you can think of when it comes to this type of stuff. Sure, there are a lot of things that we can do to streamline the experience, but at the end of the day, I want to make sure that we retain the hunting simulation aspect of the game. I don't want this to become a boss rush.
Now it's largely just delectable meat with the occasional bone and dessert. There are no bitter vegetables to power through to be able to enjoy everyone's favorite.
Vegetables are a good thing! You need vegetables! What do you mean? It's not healthy to not eat vegetables.
Parts, except maybe grinding for a specific material.
What do you think we'll find?
And while on one hand I'm overjoyed that so many people have grown to truly enjoy something I love, there was something about being one of the few who prided themselves on eating their vegetables with a smile on their face. Even so, the evolution of Monster Hunter has continued to impress me. The nostalgia I have for how things used to be doesn't cloud my judgment enough to make me misremember how I actually felt more often than not about needing to gather dozens of mushrooms and herbs and wyvern eggs before I could just finally hunt. This is tedious, and my god, please just let me kill a monster.
Okay, look, if we're going to be talking about GU, I'm on record complaining multiple times about how the beginning 5 hours of GU are not I mean, at the time for me it was Generations, because I imported my Generation save from 3DS straight into the Switch, which allowed me to kind of like skip those. But the first 5 hours of Generations are absolutely miserable. Okay, because it's just like, hey, here's a gathering quest. And you know what? Here's another one. And you know what? Here's another one. Like, I spend most of my time playing as a prowler because they have infinite gathering tools rather than actually playing as a hunter. So, yeah, I will agree with that. But again, I kind of feel like this doesn't necessarily relate to some of the things that at least I tend to speak about when it comes to the exaggeration of, you know, the quality of life things, like, you know, reducing the importance of sharpening, reducing the importance of preparation in your items, reducing the importance of tracking the monster. You know, these are things that I still value very much as mechanics.
Wilds delivers the thrill of hunting.
And by the way, I want to make one thing clear. Sorry, I'm pausing a little bit too much, but I want to make one thing clear. I don't know what the final experience in Wilds is going to be yet. I don't think anybody does, because at this Osaka event, it is a preview. It's not the final build of the game. She said she killed, like, what, 7 monsters, whatever it was, and then a couple more in a different save state or whatever it was that she said at the beginning of the video. So that's not, like, the final version of the game. So we still don't know how much all of these things are going to come into play. Maybe that's a little bit of copium on my head, but yeah, I still hope, you know, I still hope that we get a lot of those hunting simulation things.
A monster faster than ever before. The main story immediately spits you into the thick of things, and you'll have hunted your first large monster in the first 20 minutes after customizing your character and power.
That's a good thing, by the way.
There are no Kessedon kerfuffles to contend with. You are one of the chosen hunters to protect your fleet from the big bads, and so that's what you do.
You're okay now.
The action of these monster hunting quests are seamlessly woven together with narrative tasks that drive the story and exciting cutscenes that drop you right into the fray.
We'll meet up later.
Okay.
Travel is often accompanied by NPCs who progress the story with dialogue, so little time is wasted. The entire experience feels full and is structured like a more traditional RPG, as you aren't posting quests from a board and loading into a map like in previous Monster Hunters. At the same time, you still have robust freedom to explore and discover things on your own without having your hand held. I'll need to play more to discover exactly how the new decoration system and ingredient farming work, but it does appear you'll still need to keep up on eating and inventory management yourself to be the best hunter you can be. I do hope there are challenges ahead that will require adequate preparation to succeed, as that's where I think Monster Hunter shines its brightest. But I do—
See, she agrees with us! Yes! Good! I hope she gave some feedback to the team back at Osaka. I hope there was like a feedback session or something like that.
Preparation to succeed, as that's where I think Monster Hunter shines its brightest. But I do believe I may have encountered at least one of those in the Well Basin.
I think these might be tracks.
Alone in the Depths.
We discussed the Well Basin and the 4 monsters I hunted there at length in our interview with the developers, but to summarize, Rompopolo, Rurikhan, Gravios, and the area's apex, the Black Flame New Udra, inhabit the Well Basin, which is designed to be more vertically connected rather than the more horizontally laid out Windward Plains and Scarlet Forest. Though it's filled with lava and mucky oil silt, it's inspired by the deep sea and the inhabitants of the ocean floor. This is much more apparent during the plenty, especially at night, where deep into the Well Basin takes on an ethereal blue hue to contrast its muddy palette during the fallow and the bright, burning red-oranges of the fire spring. The change in climate sometimes made me feel like I was in an entirely different place. And this was even...
My biggest concern is still that they're still using that thick fog that they used to have in Monster Hunter World. Now, I don't know if you remember, but back in the day when we were grinding in the Guiding Lands, whenever there was an elder around, they would give you like this thick white fog for no reason. And I never liked that. I was almost like, man, can we just turn off this damn fog? It's so annoying. Like, the game is beautiful. Why do we need to have this white filter on top of everything? And it does seem like they're doing that a little bit in Wilds as well in certain sections.
More pronounced in the Well Basin. The appearance even changes quite drastically from day to night, which add even more variety to these vast, large, diverse maps meant to be 2 to 2.5 times the size of the maps in World. I feel like I barely got a handle on the layout of the Well Basin while hunting, and will likely need to make a concerted effort to learn its flow and remember where things are, like the very helpful environmental traps.
Damn! That was a lot of damage.
They were a unique and impressive bunch. Rompopolo is absolutely grotesque and makes great use of its environment by...
I mean, grotesque? Do we really need to go that far? I think he looks alright. It's not my favorite looking monster, but grotesque. It's because he farts, isn't it? It's not just Congalala farting. You know that Rompopolo is also a farty boy. He's a gaseous little boy.
Injecting gas into the ground to cause large explosions that bubble up from beneath the oil silts.
Farts.
When I beat it down enough, it deflated. A hilariously sad...
It's unironically a Dutch oven, what he does. He injects it into the oil silt. If you think about the oil silt as like... You know, your blanket is like, oh, I'm gonna give you the Dutch oven special. Here we go, baby.
Sight I was delighted to experience. I can see a Rurikhan giving some players a bit of trouble. It's an ape-like fang beast that's aggressive, fast, and strong.
Did she card on these ones? That's what I would like to know.
It's an ape-like fang beast that's aggressive, fast, and strong. It also just...
I love the little climbing animations on it.
Looks cool. How its body glows when it gets ramped up is magnificent, as is one of its strongest attacks, which looks kinda like a fiery Sonic the Hedgehog homing attack.
Boom!
Though Gravios, a returning monster, has been a pain in the ass to fight in previous games with its hardy HP pool and super tough defenses, I found fighting it in Wilds much more enjoyable.
See, but I feel like part of the magic of fighting Gravios was the level of challenge that you would get.
Its hitboxes are more finely tuned, and the developers were able to gradate the toughness of its body more specifically, so it was easier to land hits on the points I actually wanted to get at. I also didn't get hit by seemingly unfair hip checks, which was a welcome change. Gravios...
Unfair hip checks. Plesioth has left the building.
This has a new attack the devs were happy to be able to implement too. A beam focused on the ground that turns the immediate surroundings into molten rock that persists with a fiery effect for a few seconds.
Impressive fiery new foe.
When it comes to the Apex New Udra, wow, that thing is awesome, and it also really threatened to kick my ass. It's the only monster that carded me during my playtime with Wilds, and
the only monster out of everything you fought was New Udra that carded you? And how many monsters is that before she got to a cart? So we got, what's his face? We got Chatacabra, Chematrice, Doshiguma. I mean, it looks like she didn't fight Ray Dao. I guess Ray Dao would come up later. I don't know, because Ray Dao was in the beta. But yeah, so all of the things in the Windward Plains, where's the Shiguma, Balahara, Chupacabra, Chemitrice, then Scarlet Forest stuff, Kongalala, Lalabarina, what was the other one in there? Uthduna Repel quest. That didn't card her. Then she does Rompopolo, a Rurikhan, and then eventually New Udra carded her. Kind of wish that the carts would come a little bit sooner. But then again, maybe with the star system, we'll be able to get that. Because, I mean, if she had limited time, she probably didn't farm that much. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just conflicted, man. I hope that there's monsters out there that'll kick our ass earlier on, even in low rank. Make low rank meaningful, not just be like a cakewalk.
I had the hardest time getting a read on its movements and intentions.
That's good.
New Udra is an octopus-like cephalopod that uses a skeleton entirely new to the Monster Hunter series. So of course, I wouldn't have any familiarity to rely on. Its tentacles can all move independently of each other, and it hits hard. Its unpredictable, multi-directional attack patterns seem to encourage teaming up with friends or at least NPC support hunters too. New Udra is uniquely beautiful. The sensory organs on the tips of its tentacles glow when it intends to use them in an attack, and occasionally covers itself in oil silt and engulfs itself in flames.
Yeah, I think that's badass. Like Ghost Rider
Another
style.
cool use of the environment by an Well Basin inhabitant. One of its attacks even resembles a dangerous fireworks display. Truly, New Udra is an impressive sight to behold. A slithering, octopus-like, menacing creature engulfed in flame, hell-bent on your destruction. I'm really looking forward to how this creature is incorporated into Monster Hunter Wilds' story, too. I had no real context around the monster hunts in my time in the Well Basin, as I could only really experience the hunts themselves after the quest start and before the quest complete screen. So all I can really tell you is that the monsters I fought in this build were high rank, as well as my equipment. The build I played in graphics mode on the PS5 also performed significantly better than the open beta test.
Okay,
the monsters
better
and
performance.
environments acted as they were meant to, for the most part, and I didn't experience any jarring graphical issues or bugs. This comes with the caveats that I was offline playing in single player, and that I, personally, probably wouldn't notice if there was a small graphical stutter while fighting for my life. But if you're in it for the gameplay, I can confidently say that Monster Hunter Wilds works well and looks good, in my opinion. I'm especially impressed by the fire and lava effects I saw in the Well Basin.
Wow, what a view!
One of my biggest curiosities is how Wild's story progression will work in multiplayer, as it's one of the best parts about Monster Hunter and something I haven't been able to experience in Wilds.
Yeah, that would be good to know. By the way, this is the beta version, so it's not the version that she played. This is from the open beta. Oh, it says right there in the lower corner. Yeah, that also I know is a big concern from the community, how the cutscenes work when you're in multiplayer. I know that Capcom has done that properly in the past. I don't know if they're going to be doing it properly this time around, or if we're going to have some kind of weird Worlds-like workaround. I don't think that's been officially confirmed yet how that's going to work. I know that if you're solo, I believe you're meant to be able to skip the cutscenes, but we don't know how they work in multiplayer yet.
Outside of the open beta test. But I'm told you'll be able to play through the story with friends without the roadblocks encountered in World, which is the most important factor to me.
Okay, so it looks like they did tell her that there are things that are changing. So, you know, and I do believe that this was a big feedback point for Capcom during World. The whole thing about, oh, my friend has to do the cutscene and then he has to launch an SOS flare. I'm pretty sure that Capcom is well aware of that.
The impressive variety of monsters in Monster Hunter Wilds, both in appearance and behavior, and the environments I've seen have so much attention to detail that it's clear how much care the developers put into the series. This is especially so after speaking with them about it. Truthfully, I could yap about Monster Hunter for days, but I'll leave it at this. I can't wait to sink another 300 hours into a new Monster Hunter.
300 hours? What do you mean? 300 hours? What's that? That's week one? What are we doing? I'm joking, obviously. But I mean, I'm gonna be playing way more than 300 hours. I'm just saying.
Thanks for watching our preview on Monster Hunter Wilds. Make sure to look out for the full final review closer to launch. For more on Monster Hunter Wilds now, don't miss our interview with the developers on the Well Basins and its apex, New Udra, or our inside look at how the devs select monsters. And for everything else in the world of gaming, stick with IGN.
All right. There's going to be a link to this video on the description of my video. So if you guys want to check it out without me yapping and pausing and doing all of that stuff, make sure to check that out in the link below. My thoughts on it is I am a little bit concerned about the difficulty. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't. I know that I've talked about this multiple times. I'm hoping that these builds are kind of like a little bit toned down. And I'm hoping that on the final version we'll get a little bit more difficulty. But for now, you know, that's pretty much most of my feedback. Everything else looks absolutely phenomenal. I can't wait to jump in myself and just go absolutely crazy. Do remember, next week we have the special event from Capcom, which we're going to be streaming here on the channel. So if you want to make sure that you don't miss out on that, subscribe, bell notification icon, all of that jazz. And shortly after, there's going to be a second beta. I'm still not sure how I'm going to be able to stream that, just because the beta starts at like 3 in the morning. I don't feel like staying up until 3 in the morning again, just because that really messes up the rest of my schedule. So I might just stream it the day after. But yeah, super excited to jump back in. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit the like button and all that jazz, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong, stay safe, peace out.